Those of you who were here last year may remember Carl and his humorous but touching story. He's here to tell his story again because it bears repeating. But he also is going to tell you where he's come and what he's been doing in the meantime.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The main reason I wanted to learn to read is so I could read the Bible. God worked on me for years, but I was running from my problem. It all started in elementary school when things got hard for me to learn. I decided I would be the one who would make others laugh. I was constantly sent to the back of the room because of my clowning. I got further and further behind, although I was good at math. Anything with reading was very hard for me. Finally, in 8th grade, I had had enough and dropped out. All I wanted to do was work in the sugarcane fields for my dad, so I did. Later, I got a job as a broker, scouting for heavy equipment. This job took me all over the back roads of the southern states. I could not read a map or road signs, so I trusted my compass and God to guide me. When I saw a piece of equipment, I knocked on the door and asked if the owner might want to sell it. The problem came when he said yes, and I had to write down his name. I learned to hold a small notebook hidden in my hand so he could not see what I was writing. I dressed and acted very professional, but I knew if the seller thought I could not read, he would not trust me. So, when he gave me his name, I wrote the first letter and scribbled the rest like I was writing it out completely. If he told me the equipment had a cracked head, I would write a C and maybe an H and scribble the rest. I did the same thing when writing huge checks to the sellers. I would put the amount in numbers because I could do numbers, but when it came to writing out the amount, I just put the first letter and scribbled the rest. The bank always let it go through somehow. If no one was home when I saw the equipment, I would leave a sticky note with words already written out so I did not have to spell them. Want to buy J.D. Dozer or backhoe or whatever he had. My number and my name, Carl. This went on for years. Although I was very successful, I knew I needed and wanted to learn to read. My plan was to wait until my children got into the 3rd grade and then learn along with them as my wife helped them with their homework. For some reason, though, this never happened. Years later, I still wanted to learn to read so I could read my Bible. I heard about Hope Adult Learning and called them, but a tutor was not available. After almost 2 years of waiting, a tutor was finally available, and I began my journey of learning how to read. It was so hard to hear the sounds at first, but I never thought about quitting. Soon I began to catch on to sounds of letters, to vowels, and to lots of other parts of reading. One day, after almost a year of tutoring, I found myself in Goodwill looking at books. This would have never happened without Hope Learning. I brought several books and read one over the weekend. Now, words on signs or on the TV seem to jump out at me. Once, I saw a word on TV that we had worked on in class, and I said to it, "There you are, you dirty scoundrel." Where you been all my life? I knew I was becoming a reader the day I was able to read Bible stories to my grandkids and to my dad. What a joy to have them gather around and listen to me read. Something that would have never happened before. Never would have happened. One day I called my tutor and thanked her. I had just realized that when I was writing someone's name, I no longer had to cup the paper in my hand to hide that I could not spell. I wrote their name in plain view with a new confidence. One of the people I worked with even told me, "You talk differently." I said, "What?" I had not realized how many words I was pronouncing wrong until I started learning to read. Talking in front of a group like this would have never happened without the new confidence and hope learning. Hope adult learning has taught me. Thank Donna for her efforts and all that. Now, I spend most of my spare time reading all sorts of books. My favorite book to read, however, is the Bible. That is what I wanted to do, to learn to read in the first place. God is answering my prayers. If you don't know how to read, life is a struggle and embarrassing, and I'm a living proof. But when you learn to read, oh, the places you will go. My journey will continue, and I will get better and better at learning to read. I know God has something special planned for me to do as a reader, and I want to be ready. Thank you.